So Elon just ditched the dome on Starship's fuel tank. I mean, every rocket for the last 60 years has used fuel tanks with domes. But SpaceX's test tank, Tank 17, is just flat where the dome should be, like a 90-degree weld. Crazy, right? Apparently, this means no need to flush out carbon dioxide, faster building, and cheaper launches. But here's the thing nobody's asking. How does a tank with no dome deal with thousands of tons of engine force without exploding? The answer is wild, and it's got every aerospace company scrambling to copy it. SpaceX didn't just tweak rockets, they changed the whole game. Let's get into it. Imagine this. SpaceX engineers are all gathered around Tank 17 at Starbase after a cold test. The tank's covered in frost, and you can see there's no dome. For decades, rocket fuel tanks had curved domes. Boeing, Blue Origin, NASA, even SpaceX used them until now. What they've got instead is a flat, sharp, 90-degree weld. The kind of weld that should make the tank explode under pressure. But it didn't. It held tight and passed all the tests. How is this even possible? And why is the whole aerospace industry freaking out to figure out what SpaceX pulled off? Turns out we've been doing it wrong for 60 years. Every textbook says curved surfaces spread pressure better than flat ones. It's physics. When fuel sloshes around inside a tank with crazy pressure, that dome is supposed to spread the stress across the structure. Take it away and the tank should crumple. SpaceX knew this. They followed the rule for years. Then they found out something strange. The dome wasn't solving the pressure issue, it was causing a different problem that no one was talking about. See, those old-school dome tanks have hidden spots where gases can build up, methane, oxygen, stuff that can explode. So, every rocket needs systems to flush those gases out with carbon dioxide. That means more weight, more complexity, and more things that can break. What if you could just not need those flushing systems? That's where SpaceX went a little nuts. In a good way. Instead of dealing with the gas buildup, they got rid of the spots where it could build up. No dome equals no hidden pockets equals no flushing needed. But wait, doesn't that bring back the pressure problem? Here's where the genius comes in. SpaceX didn't only remove the dome. They totally rethought how tanks handle stress. The flat weld spreads the pressure differently across the entire tank wall. The stress goes in straight lines instead of building up at curves. It's like pushing on the end of a ruler instead of bending it. Same force, different effect. But the pressure thing was just the start. The real breakthrough was how they build these things. Welding domes the old way needs pros. Each dome has to be perfect. One tiny mistake and the whole tank is trash. Boeing spends weeks on each tank and they still mess up a lot. SpaceX's flat weld? Any decent welder can do it in hours. Build time drops way down, checking quality is easy, and costs go way down. While Boeing is trying to make one perfect dome, SpaceX is pumping out 5 domeless tanks. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not just about making tanks faster. SpaceX wants to launch rockets over and over. Old dome tanks have a problem with that. After each flight, tiny cracks show up along those dome weld lines. They get bigger each time. Most rockets can only reuse their tanks a few times before it becomes dangerous. SpaceX's domeless design stops those stress points from happening. Early tests say these tanks could handle way more reuses. Do the math. Old tank costs $10 million and lasts 5 flights. That's $2 million per flight. SpaceX's domeless tank might cost $12 million but last 50 flights. That's $240,000 per flight. Huge savings just from removing one dome. And this is why other companies are sweating. This shows that SpaceX is thinking different than everyone else. For decades, aerospace companies were trying to make rockets fly perfectly once. SpaceX is trying to make them fly cheaply 100 times. That's a different problem with a different solution. The domeless tank shows that SpaceX isn't playing the same game. They're playing a different one and winning. That is scary for Boeing, Blue Origin, and ULA. But here's the crazy part. This is just the beginning. While everyone's talking about the missing dome, there's something bigger happening. SpaceX didn't just take off the dome. They changed the whole tank design. The new Starship tanks are taller, the fuel amounts are different, and the liquid oxygen tank is super tall, while the methane tank is shorter because of factory limits. Why? SpaceX is building for rockets that don't even exist yet. Once they open their new factory, those methane tanks will get taller too. We're talking starships with way more fuel. What do they need it for? Mars missions? Moon bases? Something bigger? Then there was that filing about their Florida operations. The numbers are nuts. 76 launches per year from one place. That's way more than Starbase can do. And they're planning 4 launch towers. 2 to launch, 2 to catch. Imagine this, with catch towers, SpaceX could recover ships while boosters are still being worked on at the launch pads. Launch and recovery happening at the same time. While others struggle to launch once a month, SpaceX could be launching twice a day. Taking off the dome caused changes that most people missed. Without the dome, SpaceX could change the whole plumbing system. Fewer pipes, fewer valves, fewer sensors. Less weight, less complexity, less to break. One design change leads to dozens of little wins. Other aerospace CEOs are losing sleep over this. SpaceX's domeless design isn't just better. It means you have to redo everything you're doing. Old companies can't just copy it. They would have to rebuild everything. Billions of dollars and years of work. Meanwhile, SpaceX is testing new designs. Here's the mystery. How does that flat Weld deal with the pressure? The usual math says it shouldn't work. Stress should build up and cause it to break. But it doesn't. Passes every test. What do they know that everyone else doesn't? New materials? Better computer models? Maybe the truth is that SpaceX isn't telling us everything, and that might be the smartest move of all. While everyone's talking about the details, SpaceX is running a plan that makes those details kind of unimportant. They're not just building better rockets, they're building better rocket factories. The domeless design isn't about performance. It's about building stuff fast. In a world where launching satellites will be an everyday thing, speed is more important than being perfect. So, here's the big question. If SpaceX solved the dome problem so easily, what other impossible problems are they about to crack? To sum it up, SpaceX didn't just take off a dome. They broke 60 years of rocket-building rules with one flat Weld. While the competition argues about whether it's smart or crazy, SpaceX is building the factories to pump out hundreds of these tanks. The question isn't if it works. It's what crazy breakthrough is next. What if taking away a dome can change the whole industry? What happens when SpaceX uses this same thinking on heat shields, landing legs, or life support? We're seeing how SpaceX will get to Mars. Not by slowly making things a little better, but by asking why we're even doing things the way we are in the first place.